Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about My Hero Academia, chapter 241. Woo, here we go. We are officially out of the villain arc. That's going to be fun. Notes very quickly before I forget. First, I want to say thank you to everyone that helped me in my sleep deprivation last week figure out what exactly was going on in the chapter. Really appreciated it. Big heart. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. Big heart. Really appreciated it. You guys are awesome. You rock. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to have time to make videos that weekend, so kind of had to do that there, but it all worked out. And I've read over the Viz Media, so I've corrected my expectations. I mean, I don't know. I forgot the connection that Redestra was a baldy because of the receding hairline. Whew. I'm too literal sometimes. Anyway, another note I got for you Hero Academia fans, especially if you're manga fans, I want to make sure that you're aware. You remember how at the end of the Class 1A versus Class 1B fight, there was a quick snapshot of Aizawa? I just want to make sure you guys are aware that in the Vigilantes spinoff, we are currently doing the Aizawa backstory. They're going through the Aizawa backstory. They're showing a little portion of his life, but one of the characters that was featured in the little flashback during the last arc, during the Class 1A versus Class 1B fight, they're showing it off there. So right now, I don't know, illegals, I think that is another name you can call it, or vigilantes. Yeah, vigilantes is showing just how Aizawa decided what exactly he was going to be. So it's kind of like it's kind of a coming of age type flashback for Aizawa, and you have his friend being featured prominently there. So I would highly recommend going on Viz Media and checking out the last two chapters. Whatever this week is, I think there's 2 chapters of the flashback out so far. So please feel free to go check that out. Honestly, I think this is great use of a spin-off manga. This is kind of what I want from a spin-off manga, you know, that it shows you these little details about the characters. So again, highly recommend it if you want to see the Aizawa backstory. I have no idea if it's ever going to come into the main story. If it's something worthwhile, probably, because he'll have to inform readers of it. But hey, might as well get the early look in that case. Anyway, for this chapter, I'm wondering how I should format this video properly, if I should do the walkthrough, because the walkthrough takes so long and I don't know if you guys actually enjoy it, or if I should just kind of sum things up like I used to do. I made a change during the previous arc to see how that went, but I'm not too sure how I should go about it now. But there is one main point that I really wanted to get to, and that is, I think what I used to title the video, is effectively the stuff that occurs at the end of the chapter with Mount Lady. And this is actually, I think this is a really good way of using Mineta's experience with her. But at the end of the chapter, you have Mount Lady being responsible, and we have Mineta there as the standard to tell us, like, oh yeah, no, this is different than what she was before. And it made me think, because Aizawa was saying that the number one hero is pulling everyone up with him. And I think in a way, Endeavor, actually no, I don't think in a way, I think very possible Endeavor is a better number one than All Might. And that is specifically, I think All Might, he is great and he allows peace to prosper and all that. But when there's too much peace, people get kind of lenient. You understand what I say? What I mean? I think All Might, who was this paragon of never flinching, he got heroes to a point where they felt they could be lofty. Like, he set the bar really high, and I feel like possibly as a whole society felt like they could afford to slack on themselves. You know, in general, broad strokes kind of thing. But then when you had Endeavor stepping up as the number one hero, people in society are painfully aware of his vulnerabilities. They're painfully aware of how he can be hurt. They're painfully aware of how not All Might he is. And when you have people being aware that this is not just a symbol, this is an actual flesh and blood person, I think that does shift society's view on things. And think about that. All Might was always called a symbol of peace. A symbol, not a person. I do feel to some degree society may have very well have bought into that rhetoric, and they might have stripped him of his more human qualities, especially when you're calling him a symbol. That word might indicate a big, like, that word indicates the societal mentality around All Might at that point. All Might was less human and more this symbol that stood for all the things that were good in the world. And then you had Endeavor coming in, whose biggest moment after he's named number one is, hey, look, this guy is really human. He is really bleeding out here. And so I think that's why society's being nicer to heroes. They're realizing that heroes are people too. I think this is great. I love that Endeavor is having this kind of reaction. I think it's worthwhile. I think it's worthwhile that society is realizing that they can be a little bit nicer to the heroes. Especially, it's going to be especially worthwhile now that we're heading into an era where Shigaraki effectively controls the media through Redestro. So that's one little thought. The other thought that I want to get to before getting into the chapter is Kaminari. Kaminari had a liberation sign, kind of. It looked like it in the panel. This isn't the first time that this conversation has come up that Kaminari is a traitor. Obviously, not the first time it's come up. Not the first time that the L sign has been used with Kaminari to point him towards being in the Liberation Army. Last time that we've seen him doing the L sign, we could assume it was like the left hand rule. You know, the one that's the left hand rule is there to specifically, I think, figure out magnetic. Yeah, the direction of magnetic forces, because I think this is magnetic force. I think this one is like magnetic. Okay, I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, left-hand rule is used for magnetic equations. You use it when you're trying to figure out what exactly you have to apply to the formulas. So Kaminari using that is, you know, initially you can easily just say it's a homage to the left-hand rule and the science behind it. But this time, you know, it's a little bit more aggressive. The shot's really unclear, and heck, you even have him making a weird face, really odd. Right now, because we have a history of Kaminari doing these things, I think it's best to keep, I would even say keep your feet on both camps on this one, because it really could go either way here. We don't know. The fact is, there is a very popular Kaminari theory that says he's a traitor, you know, and even though you can easily say like, oh no, he probably isn't, we haven't gotten conclusive evidence either way. And moments like these are obviously just going to get people riled up. But personally, if I was I'm leaning more towards the fact that he isn't a traitor. I think this is just trolliness. Although the author must have known what he was doing. He must have known that it looks like he's putting up the Liberation Army sign. He must have known. And that's the weird thing. It's so blatant that he must know that he's doing it, if he is just trolling us. Any hoosers, let's get into the chapter proper. We're going to cover it in sections, and I'm going to point out the spots that I think are really important for the story. So the first section is pretty much the little routine that occurs with Todoroki and Bakugo. Okay, so things that I really like for this section. Man, alright, look, I'm not going to explain to you why this is funny. It's funny. I love the dynamics that were here. My words. I like the dynamics that were here. I like how this plays off of their characterization. And I like these two as a duo. I think they are funny. I think they work. I think the authors realize that they work. I think he enjoys writing them like this, because when you look at how much banter Bakugo has with Todoroki here, it's really apparent. What's even more apparent is that Todoroki is super dense. Like, oh my god, he is so dense. And you know, we've seen this quality of him before, but this chapter just put it on thick. Like, oh my gosh, asking Mount Lady if she has heart problems because he's making her heart go aflutter. Man, yeah, the man is thick. Like, honestly, you tell me, is that a characterization that you saw in Todoroki back when he was fighting Izuku during the, the sports festival? No. Did you see that characterization for him back when he was with Izuku at the summer camp? No. Did you see that characterization for him when they were gonna go rescue Bakugo? No. This is like, you only ever got very small glimpses of it later on, and now it's just full on. I think the author has kind of cemented a comedic identity for Todoroki. I think he's figured out what he wants to do with the character when it comes to these casual scenes. And you see how he plays with it. He still interweaves Todoroki's problems with his father into the character, but now Todoroki has a comedic identity, and that's pretty cool. I think this is a case where having Bakugo as his juxtaposition helped the author figure out what he wanted to do with Todoroki, because if the goal is to make someone that contrasts Bakugo, then obviously you could make Todoroki just super dense with the way that, you make Todoroki into a character that's oblivious to Bakugo's abuse, right? You make him oblivious, and when you have that obliviousness there, you just project it to the other characters. So I think this is a combo that works really well, and I think this is a combo that really accentuates both characters, and I think helps the author write them along. One thing I want to say for this section, alongside or beyond just the comedy of it, I do want to point out that what he did with the title page, I'm pretty sure, given that we knew what this was, it was My Villain Academia. That was the arc, My Villain Academia. So I'm pretty sure Bakugo's taking off the villain part, and Izuku's putting in the hero part. I think that's what it is, right? Like that makes sense. I thought that was really cute. I thought it was really creative. I like that. That was pretty cool, right? Anyway, we move on into what I think is one of the more interesting parts of the chapter, the meatiest part for me personally, that being the recap on how the heroes saw the incident. There's some interesting things happening here, and I'm going to take my time to kind of point them out to you so that you know what I'm thinking. Anyway, one of the first things I want to point out is actually, the Gemini's Box translation is better than the Manga Stream's translation for this week, because the Manga Stream's translation had some weird things with the timeline. Gemini's Box is the one to go with this week from what I saw. We'll have to wait till Viz to make sure. Any hoosers, one thing that I wanted to point out is that Ida specifically says that he heard that the extent of the damage that occurred in the battlegrounds of the villain was worse than the damage in Kamino. I want you to really keep that in mind there. This is not the first time that we've heard people comparing damage to Kamino. This isn't the first time. The last time that we had this was with Endeavor and Hawks when they were fighting the high end. This line is extremely purposeful. I do think that the author is trying to model threat level based on the damage that occurs in a city, or threat level proportional to damage. I think that's what the author is trying to say here. This is a little nod to just say that, yeah, Shigaraki is a legitimate threat. And when you look at the fact that Ida's saying, like, yeah, this is worse than Kamino, and you remember the events of what actually happened here, it's like, there's a giant hole in this city. There's multiple blocks taken up. And that was Shigaraki at the epicenter. That was not Gigantomachia. Gigantomachia did not make that hole. That's Shigaraki. That is terrifying. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because, again, we got to think about it. Is the weakness to Shigaraki's quirk actually a weakness? It seems more like a deterrent. A deterrent. It just seems more like a small deterrent, right? Because, heck, like I said before, if I want to level, 8 city blocks? Yeah, okay. And everyone that's in it's going to disintegrate, and all I have to do is give up my arm? Yeah, okay. I'm going to do it. If I'm Shigaraki and I just want disaster, I'm just going to pick one day of the month. I'm going to go out there. I'm just going to go ham. Heck, man, if he figures out how to propagate decay throughout any spot on his body, if I was him, I would just kind of go and just do a little bit of a belly flop onto a pool, and then just activate my decay right through there, because that would be good enough, right? No, but the point is I do think that is a narrative nod, just to tell you, like, okay, no, Shigaraki in a way has surpassed All for One. Like, Shigaraki in a way is deserving of the successor of All for One title. Very interesting that the author had put that line there. Kamino will ultimately be the reference point by which we say which villains are dangerous. I think it's important to note that. Now, the next part of that section that was really interesting is, of course, how people are talking about the heroes. Like I said, we talked about it with Endeavor a little bit before, but I do like the idea that they're shifting from blaming the heroes to giving encouragement. Again, Endeavor showing the vulnerability of heroes, I think, is good. Yes, All Might was an excellent symbol of peace, but at the same time, he dehumanized heroes to some degree. When you look back at it, you consider Stain. Stain stopped looking at heroes as humans, and he started looking at to heroes as these bigger than life symbols, which they weren't. At the end of the day, heroes are just people who are allowed to use their quirks. That's all it is. Remember, it's not really a hero, it's more like a quirky service worker or a quirky civil servant who just happens to have ideals that align with justice. You gotta make sure you keep that distinction. One thing I do want to say here is that it's really interesting that all this encouragement is coming out of a false event. at the end of the day here, there's people here talking about how the heroes, they were trying their best. When in the reality, we know that this wasn't the case. This was the civilians of the city going in and doing stuff. It's just important to realize how much this seems to be making such an impact on society, even though it's based on a lie. And we inadvertently get something good out of it. That is that people are being nice to heroes. So this is really interesting. From a lie, you have the negative of it, but you also get something inadvertently good. So, at the end of the day, is the lie a bad thing? Well, ultimately, yes. I think in terms of like just absolutes, I think, yes, the lie is a terrible thing because people don't know the truth of what happened here. If they knew the truth, things would be wildly different. But it's good to know that this was a good revealer of what people are feeling. And it's also worth pointing out that the majority of that city was people from the Liberation Army. So chances are these people that we saw on the screen maybe weren't even, were part of the Liberation Army, right? Can't trust people. It's just important to keep in mind because this narrative is probably going to be prominent throughout Hero Academia. And it's important to remember this narrative is based on a lie. Okay, the next portion it's pretty much the biggest comedy portion of the chapter because you have just the nice talks about PR and everyone gets the moment to have their fun lines. Tokoyami gets to have a super chuny line, so that was adorable in its own way. But that portion was primarily comedy and greatly appreciated. We just finished the dark arc. I think it's okay to come back to the lightheartedness that is the school children's lives. And of course, in between the comedy, you had that little moment that we already talked about of Mount Lady stepping up and being a little bit more responsible and being more aware of her role as a hero. That's really good. Who would have thought that Endeavor's vulnerability would have caused a chain reaction the way that heroes are operating right now? But that's good. That's really appreciate it. And I never thought that Mineta was going to be used in that way to be the barometer by which Mount Lady has improved. But here you go. He started off not believing in his former intern buddy or intern provider or internship provider, and now look at what's happening. That was a very good use of the character's time with the character. Anyway, character's time with the character. The next portion of the chapter, and I'm kind of skipping the little comedy bits, but is the spot that goes in with Izuku. And so one thing I definitely want to say is I love the imagery that Izuku has. I love what he was saying about the power that's been locked up and that he can use the power when he wants, and now he's just learning how to control it. I think that was all worthwhile, and I think it's great to see that Izuku is just using Black Whip as a plop. That's pretty cute. One thing that I found interesting though is that when you look at Izuku's costume, Black Whip is coming out of one of the spots on it, and the thing is he had this costume before Black Whip. So to some degree I wonder, does Izuku's current costume have hints at what his power is going to be in the future? Did the author tie in a few hints in there just because he thought it'd be fun? That kind of goes against the design methodology that the author has done for the costumes, so I doubt it. But I just thought it was neat how he incorporated something that the costume already had into something that Black Whip comes out of. It looks really cool. I do wonder if the author already had Black Whip in mind when he made the glove the way he did with the little openings right here. Overall, that was pretty cool to see that Izuku's coming along and that he's working on it. And it's cool to know that it's been 2 weeks since the Class 1A versus 1B fights. Anyway, the final thing I want to talk about is, of course, at the end, All Might is making notes for Izuku. And he's spending all night trying to go through all the records. That is wonderful, man, my heart. And now, at the end, we find out that the internships are going to start again. And here's the thing. I think I've talked about this once before on what arcs are we going to get in Hero Academia video, but it's kind of odd to me. I see this and I get a little worried because we're at the end of a semester. Izuku says as much at the beginning of the chapter. We're at the end of a semester, and here you have an important item being created, that is the young notes for Midoriya. The reason I'm getting worried about the semester is because that marks a milestone in the Hero Academia timeline. And we're going into internships. I wonder, are these going to be dangerous internships? The thing is, I'm actually really surprised that we're not at the end of the school year yet. So I am wondering if this next internship arc is going to take us away from Shigaraki, and maybe we're going to focus on another legendary villain that was introduced during the Gentle arc. I think it was the thief there was like we were introduced to All for One, Destro, and then there was a third one. He was some kind of thief character. I wonder if we're gonna head into an internship arc that revolves around that, or if the internship arc that we're maybe heading to is going to revolve around Shigaraki. The way I'm seeing this here is that I feel because we're at the end of a semester, the internship should evolve into something bigger. But at the same time, Shigaraki exists with such a big organizational force. I can't really see where we're going here. I'm not too confident in where exactly we're going here. When I see that last thing that All Might's preparing for Izuku, I do feel that that's going to be a key item. I do feel there's going to be a lot of significance in that book. And when you have that being created, I do wonder, is All Might going to go down at some point in this new arc? Again, it's the end of semester. My fan senses are telling me that it's going to be a big event that's going to occur at this end of the semester to mirror what happened at the end of the summer semester. But I don't know. I have no idea how this is going to play out. I did not expect to be going into internships again, and I did not expect to have one more round or like another few months of school still going. But yeah, gonna be really. I'm interested. I'm really interested to see where exactly this arc's gonna go and how this new internship arc is going to progress. We'll have to see. At this point, though, I feel like the invasion of UA, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be at the end of the school year. So it's just a question of how this internship arc's going to evolve, how it's gonna develop. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think's gonna happen here? What happened in the chapter that you liked? Let me know down below. And yeah, let's call it there. I'm done. So thanks for watching, and till next time, I hope you have a great day. I think I told you all the important notes. I think I did. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna make a Dr. Stone video just for the recent chapter because I want to talk about what happened in that chapter because it's relevant to another thing. And I'm also gonna watch Dr. Stone and Fire Force. I might not be able to get it done today though, but tomorrow for sure. Anyway, everyone, thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day. I'm always getting texts.